Palworld is a game where you can have a friendly encounter with lovely creatures that look strangely similar to some other long-standing games, such as Sheep Creature, Cat Creature, a Normal Chicken, and Pink Love Lizard. Wait, what the f***? Palworld has taken the internet by storm, whether it's hundreds of videos, endless angry tweets, my entire Steam friends list, or the top results on Rule 34. You can't take 2 steps online without it popping up. Now me, I'm not much of a creature tamer player, but I get the appeal. There was a time I liked Pokemon and Monster Rancher and Digimon, all those creature tamer IPs. But like modern superhero movies, I have not found those entertaining in a very long time. But despite all the controversy and discussion, it has exploded in popularity, and since someone bought it for me, I feel myself forced to engage with it, and thereby out of habit, form my own opinion. With all this in mind, I'll be discussing 2 things in this video. 1, my experience playing, absent anything else. And 2, my opinion on all of the controversies and discussions around it. Getting right into it, I get that this is early access, but when a game sells this well, I have to give my opinion as it is. I will revise my opinion if things change, but I'm not going to hold back as if the early access tag is a get out of criticism free card. Like being a virgin, it allows some free passes, but if you shout bazinga when you finish, I don't care what your excuse is, I will fire you out of a cannon into the sun. Now, starting out, character creation is nothing special, but it's not bad. The game caters to both types of players, normal people and Monster Factory. And then it drops you into the world. While I don't need to get into the details of every little thing and every little moment of starting out, the tutorial does do a nice job of getting you accustomed to the basics, base building, catching your first pals, leading all the way up to your first boss battle with Seaman Demon and Grisbolt, and ignoring the glitch that allows you to capture her and keep her with you forever. It's a nice fight that introduces the idea of these battles. This was something I felt as I played more. The tower boss battles are interesting, even if they do still feel very early access-y. It feels like it should be a final boss at a gym in Pokemon, but unless you read all the journal entries, you won't really even know who these people are or why you're fighting them. This is something I'm hoping they will add. I'd love to see more battles, including PAL battles out in the open with the various faction members. Right now, all of the factions are just different looking versions of the same guy. Like a quote-unquote artist on Discord who adds you out of the blue and then begs you to commission them. They might seem different, but what they deliver in the end is the same disappointment every time. But with time and some updates, I'd love to see this turn into something progressive that leads to this boss fight at a more thematic location than just a tower in the middle of nowhere, where you fight through lower ranking people and have PAL battles with them. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Kevin, this sounds eerily similar to something else that exists. Well, let me tell you. Shut up. Exploration is very much a Breath of the Wild ripoff, but it does work. While it can be a bit clunky sometimes and stamina depletes at an insanely fast rate, there is enough random crap to collect that going out always feels like it has a function. And of course, you can massacre the wildlife and thugs with my evil neighbor Totoro and his minigun. I do enjoy the base building, though as of now, a lot of the AI for the slaves, I mean pals, breaks often, and getting them to stick to doing what you want can be a pain at times. Especially on a dedicated server rather than a local game, I noticed that local games just seem to run better in general. And I also noticed that as you get to the higher levels, grinding out new things for your base became a lot slower. It required a lot more XP, which was rather annoying. But overall, I enjoy it. I find setting things up to be a lot of fun, and it adds to the natural progression of the game. I do wish they gave you more room to build. I'm sure this all has to do with the way the system is put together, but the circle you get for your base can be very limiting. You basically have to just build up. It'd be nice to see them expand base size, because honestly, how am I going to build my love and or sex dungeon with so little space? Now, with base building in mind, I do have to point out something. Come here, come a little closer, and listen. This game is tricking you. They're pulling the lamball wool over your eyes. This game has tricked us all into believing this was the great Pokemon replacer, but it is a lie. The Pokemon ripoff is front and center to hide the truth from you, dear citizen. No, it is not truly that. What this game really is. Whoa, this game is only minorly a Pokemon ripoff. What it truly is Ark Survival Evolved. Look at it! Technology? It's just engrams. PAL specializations? Those are just dinosaur specializations. Weapon progression, technology progression, base building, it's all Ark. But that's okay, because I actually like Ark a lot, all things considered, and I don't blame them. If your goal is to promote the game, saying we're replacing Ark is a far less likely thing to go viral than Pokemon with slavery and surprise mechanics. That brings me to what I hope happens. In the roadmap, they expressed a few things, most of which sound good, but one thing I dread. PvP. Now, don't get me wrong, PAL battles sound fun, and I'd love to see them. And PvP in general is not bad as a concept. Plenty of games I enjoy are PvP. But we have so many PvP games, and PvP has its drawbacks. And with the game being so similar to Ark, we can just look at that to see some of the problems that PvP caused. One of the big things about Ark is the game is heavily balanced, scaled, and updated with PvP in mind. How long it takes to tame, how many resources everything takes to build or create, and even the lack of in-depth PvE content is all scaled and designed around this idea of PvP. Many games are like this as well. Rust is a great example. And while that is fine, you are allowed to like that, I'd hate to see a lot of what has made this game really cool so far be ruined by some kid offline rating you and then calling you the N-word 30 times when he sees you log in. So we shall see how it goes, but I feel the game has a lot of potential, and I look forward to the eventual dating sim mechanic that they will have to add to satisfy the perverse cravings of the masses. Now, with all of that said, let's talk about the controversy. Now, personally, I'm not that invested. I think a lot of the statements around it are weirdly emotional and extreme. The criticisms of the game's lack of originality are quite valid. This was not an inspired creation of new or original ideas. None of Pocket Pal's games are. Like putting my bro in an Astolfo costume, it's just an imitation of what I really want. But most of my life and most of my childhood has this being quite common. Someone makes a game, sets a standard for certain mechanics, and other games copy it. Most suck, but sometimes they don't. World of Warcraft changed MMOs forever, and almost everyone since copies it. Most of them died, but Final Fantasy XIV managed to become its own thing well enough that people stuck by it and loved it. You don't see WoW running ERP nightclubs. There are tons of other examples. How many games have just copied the Souls formula? How many shooters are just Call of Duty? We have a bajillion battle royales. I just don't feel like this is the gravest sin known to man, deserving of 2-hour cancellation response videos. People take ideas and even straight up rips from other things all the time. For example, I love Escape from Tarkov, but there are things people want that BSG won't even consider providing. So of course someone else came along and said, I can do that. There's a cute little indie game called Zero Sievert. It is essentially a one-for-one imitation of Tarkov, but designed around PvE and with a top-down pixel art style. Of course, because it is a top-down pixel art game, there are some details that are changed to suit that style, but it is essentially in all ways a PvE Escape from Tarkov. Because at the end of the day, that's what BSG refuses to create. A satisfying PvE experience. My point here is that maybe something is just an imitation of something else we like, but as Grandma used to say, a hole's a hole, and any hole is a goal. I miss you, Grandma. I will say it's true that while some pals can get by on how original can you be with a penguin or a bird, and some of them do seem to be an original design, it's clear how a large number of the designs are just, yeah, copy my homework, and change it slightly so it seems different. Even the Struggle Snuggle Lizard is just a ripoff of Salazzle. But I think this just highlights the reality. There is a gap in the market that Game Freak repeatedly fails to deliver on. Even if you like their recent games, my condolences, it's obvious there was a desire for something that Palworld has somehow delivered on. And I think it's all worth criticizing, but I also think it's not worth being as invested as some people have been. Just chill, man. Grandma knows best. As for me, I hope they make it into something more unique and fun without tainting what is currently the highlight of it. We shall see. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.